Are you starving and in the mood for some street birria tacos? Well, you've come to the right place. Let me show you that you don't have to be a master chef to make this fantastic dish. Before we start, all exact measurements will be in the description box down below for you. This will be for approximately 10 people, so let's go ahead and begin. We are going to need 15 tomatoes, 1 onion, 12 garlic cloves, 1 cinnamon stick or a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. I have 8 Chiles Ancho and 12 Chiles Guajillo. For our spices, we'll need 2 tablespoons each of Mexican Oregano and whole black pepper, 1 tablespoon each of dried thyme, cumin seeds, and allspice. Also 4 bay leaves and salt to taste. I have 3 teaspoons here to start, but I may need more or less. We also need half a cup of white vinegar, your favorite quesadilla cheese, about 2 pounds worth, and yellow corn tortillas. These give the birria an amazing flavor, but you can use the plain white corn tortillas if that's all you have. And the star of the show, the meat. I'm using beef short ribs, about 10 pounds. Traditionally, you can use goat meat. First, get a pot and put about 2 tablespoons of oil inside, set on medium-high heat. Let's sharpen our knife and cut your tomatoes into quarters. Slice down the middle, give it a turn, and slice again. Get all your beautiful tomatoes and put them all into a bowl and set aside. Next, let's cut our whole onion the exact same way. Let's get our molcajete and grind up our cumin seeds. This is optional, but you can also grind up the garlic if you'd like to enhance the flavor. Grab your chile guajillo and some scissors and poke a hole along the bottom, or you can cut the top off of the chile and put your scissors in that way. Cut through the middle so we can get to the seeds and veins of the chile. Pour the seeds out and pull out the vein and top of the chile off if you haven't done so already. Do the same thing with the ancho chiles. Ancho actually means width in Spanish, being that these peppers are wide. The ancho chile is actually a dried poblano pepper and is a perfect addition to birria. You can use any dried pepper that you'd like. This is just what I prefer. Let's grab our bowl of tomatoes and pour them into the heated pot. I just love to hear that sizzle. Throw in your onion and don't forget your garlic cloves. Give everything a good stir and let it cook for about 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, when the tomatoes start breaking down, add your bay leaves and your dried chili peppers. We need to rehydrate them. Get your cinnamon stick and break it in half. This will be the time to add our salt. About a tablespoon for now. We will check the saltiness a little later. Go ahead and give everything a good mix. Now let's pour in our half a cup of white vinegar and 1.5 quarts of water. Give everything a good stir. After about 10 minutes on medium-high heat, the dried chili should be nice and soft after getting rehydrated. Remove all the ingredients inside and put them into a blender. If it doesn't all fit, you may have to blend everything into 2 parts. Add some of the liquid in to make it easier to blend. Make sure to blend it real good for about 30 seconds or up to a minute. Not something you want to do when everyone is sleeping. You do want to grind everything as fine as possible, especially if there were any remaining seeds from the dried chiles. Pour everything into a bowl, and this is the consistency you're looking for right here. Nice and smooth. Now let's strain our sauce. Pour it into a strainer and start stirring it around, making sure to press down against the sides to push the sauce through. If you didn't blend the sauce thoroughly, it will be harder for the sauce to strain through the screen. This happened to me, so I had to blend it again. It takes a few minutes, but it'll get through. What you'll be left with is the skin of the tomatoes and dried chiles. You can throw this out, or if anyone knows an alternative to using this, please feel free to let me know in the comment section. Get a large pot with enough water to cover your ribs. Place all the short ribs inside. Now you can cook your ribs in water and then afterwards mix your sauce in, but I feel when you pour the sauce into the water at the beginning, the meat will soak up all the wonderful flavor while it's cooking. Pour all of the sauce in, and I'm getting every drop out of this. At this point, I decided to add a little bit more salt since the water I use doesn't come seasoned. Put the lid on and bring it to a light boil on medium-high heat and cook for 3 hours. After 3 hours, your short ribs are ready and super tender. Just look how it slides right down the bone. One more time. Oh yeah. There's actually no effort when taking the rib bone out. Go ahead and transfer everything to a bowl and look how the meat just falls apart. No chewing necessary, guys. I'm sure you could save the bones and make a beef stock out of it. This meal does take a little while to make, but as you can see, it will be all worth it in just a few minutes when we make our tacos. Now let's transfer everything to a cutting board so we can chop this meat up real good for our tacos. The meat is perfectly coated with the salsa and has absorbed all the wonderful flavor. Give everything a good chop with your knife. No worries if your knife is dull. You could even use a butter knife if you want. You can remove any tough connective tissue that you come across when chopping, or give it a fine chop. It's up to you. Well, look who just showed up. The kitchen floor cleaner. Let me give him a taste so he'll know what to clean up. If any of this meat falls down, make sure you clean it up. He is on the payroll after all. Alright, our meat is chopped up nicely. Let's put it in a container, cover it up, and let it sit overnight in the refrigerator. I'll be putting this into a smaller pot because the other one is too big for my refrigerator. Look at that. Some birria tried to sneak away. I'll find a good place for him, don't worry. Let's put the lid on and put it in the fridge overnight. As you can see, sometimes our young adults at the house leave the refrigerator door cracked open, so I had to put a sign up. After sitting in the fridge overnight, the fat has risen to the top and solidified. It is time to extract the fat from the consommé and place it into a bowl. This will be used to cook our tacos on the griddle or comal. Another option, if you need your birria tacos now, is to just skim off the liquid fat on top of the consommé by letting it sit for 30 minutes. But I highly recommend letting it sit overnight. After we cooked our short ribs, the liquid is now referred to as a consommé, which is what we'll dip our birria tacos in and or eat as a soup. It has a very rich flavor, and you can add some cilantro, onion, and lime to it. And what I've heard, it's the best medicine for a hangover. So I've heard. Get your quesadilla cheese and start grating it. Let's go outside and start preheating your comal or griddle to medium-high heat. Get your tortillas, and with these, they do not have anything in between them to separate them. I've tried leaving them out at room temperature, but they still don't separate very well. The best way to peel them apart is to get a spatula and slide it in between the edge of the tortilla like this until it separates, and repeat. Place your tortilla on the comal and let it cook for about 15 to 20 seconds. Give it a flip and cook for another 15. While that's cooking, I'll add some other tortillas to start making these birria tacos. This one is done, let's put them aside. Now it's time to have some fun. Get some of the solid fat and place it on the comal until it melts. In this shot, I'm using a regular white corn tortilla. Let it cook for 5 to 10 seconds to soak up the fat and flip it. Place a few tablespoons of meat on top, followed by the quesadilla cheese. Fold it over and let it cook for about 30 seconds until the cheese is nice and melted. Let's see what it looks like. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You getting hungry yet? In this shot, I'm using the liquid fat if you didn't want to wait for the leftover fat to solidify. Same process as before. I'm using the yellow corn tortillas this time. Let it cook for a few seconds to soak up that flavor, give it a flip, and place the meat inside with the cheese on top. Fold it over and let it cook for about 15 seconds while I get the other tacos together. Give it a flip and it's ready when it looks just like this. Fantastic. I'm going to keep repeating the process so we can feed the whole family. Usually when I make a big meal like this for a video, I invite everyone over and they love it. Let's start plating it together with some vegetables cooked in vinegar, also called chile en vinagre, along with a bowl or cup of consommé, or birria tacos, some Mexican dried chile red salsa, garnished with some cilantro and a side of guacamole, and Spanish rice. Now this is one way to eat birria tacos. Get your taco, give it a dip, and enjoy. Let me know how you make your birria and what you think of the video. I'll also leave you 2 links that will show you great additions you can make with your birria tacos to feed your family and friends. Next videos coming up will be the red salsa tutorial, Spanish rice, chiles en vinagre, and much more. Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing and have a blessed day, everyone.